Because of this pandemic, people across the world are spending more time on their computers, phones, and all sorts of electronic gadgets. We are now so used to setting up meetings on video conference apps, ordering food and other services through our phones, swiping and liking cat videos on social media, and learning silly dance routines from TikTok. 2020 has always been a year where many Chinese companies and startups have been trying to ride on the wave of this tech boom. But as Mark Niu reports, it hasn't always been a smooth journey.
In a time of pandemic, the tech giants are forging ahead. While in-person product revealings halted, Apple held 3 virtual product events within 3 months, including the release of its first 5G phone.
Introducing iPhone 12.
Big Tech also found itself virtually testifying before Congress. CEOs from Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter all came under fire, being accused of acting like monopolies and partisan editors. Chinese tech companies operating in the U.S. also couldn't escape the crosshairs of the U.S. government. The Trump administration issued separate executive orders banning Tencent's WeChat and ByteDance's TikTok from operating in the U.S. over national security concerns.
We've seen a reduction of Chinese investment in the United States as a whole in the last several quarters. I think that's largely due to this larger atmosphere of what the administration has been pursuing and kind of taking a more antagonistic posture towards China. And it is something that, again, we are looking to the next administration to really address and to rebuild and repair those relationships.
With the Trump administration on its way out, the Biden administration will now be tasked with repairing a fractured relationship with Chinese tech.
I feel like the new Biden administration is going to focus more on multilateral efforts to deal with China rather than the bilateral efforts that have happened under the Trump administration. The fact that Biden appointed Catherine Tai for the USTR position, she is a Chinese speaker, fluent, and I think that will make a big difference.
As for whether Chinese tech companies will be able to work well under a Biden administration, one academic tells me they certainly prefer stability. And at least with President-elect Biden, they know what they're getting.
I think the current state of U.S.-China relations is the lowest point it's been as far back as I can remember. And the reason for that is because there has been a lot of attacks and counterattacks. The trade disputes have been, in my opinion, a kind of a lose-lose situation. We impose tariffs, we ban imports, China retaliates.
Chinese-owned TikTok and WeChat were both banned by the Trump administration, but their cases still drag on in the courts today. Do you think the Trump administration is trying to box the Biden administration in so that if he loosens any restrictions, he'll look weak?
I don't think that's going to be the case in either TikTok or WeChat situation because fortunately for both of those companies, we have a court system. And in both instances, they have gotten preliminary injunctions, and those injunctions have been upheld by a higher appellate court. So there are multiple injunctions actually in place to say that the ban can't be implemented.
So what is your overall view on the Biden administration's potential to change the tense relationship over tech?
I think under the Biden administration, there will be more bilateral and multilateral discussions, but it will have a focused goal in mind where both parties will know what is it we're trying to achieve. China doesn't have to like everything the Biden administration wants, and I don't think that's ever going to be the case. But rather, they can have some certainty that if the parties agree to something, it will stick and it'll be implemented. And I don't think they've had that under the current administration.